I'm Jacqueline Robertson with JR Law Group, and welcome to Family Law Friday. What's the difference between joint and split custody? In any case, in any divorce or paternity case involving children, custody and the living arrangement that you will find and have with your children is the pressing question and issue. Now, it's a complex issue and it's ripe with emotional and other feelings around it that are inherent in the idea of now you're going to be sharing your children with a co-parent, and it's a whole new arrangement. So the goal of today's video is just to kind of give you a little understanding of what it actually means, what it entails, and what it can even ultimately look like. So the overarching principle of custody, there are two big prongs. There's legal custody and physical custody. Now, legal custody is going to be about the co-parents sharing in the ideas that govern medicine, healthcare, religion, any of the big decisions that need to be made for the children. That's legal custody, and the presumption in Utah is that it's going to be joint. So that's something that you're going to share with the co-parent. Now, even in a non-custodial arrangement where you're the custodial parent and there's a non-custodial parent, you're likely going to share custody. With the exception of cases that involve serious allegations of abuse or some crime or some inaptitude of the parent, otherwise it's going to be joint custody. Now, the other more nuanced piece of custody is physical custody, and that means where are the children going to live. So you have different variations and different extremes. The basic premise, short of termination of one parental right or where the one parent is completely absent, otherwise the minimum situation is going to look at a non-custodial parent and a custodial parent who has the primary physical custody of the child. And again, even in this circumstance, you're going to be sharing and co-parenting on the legal custody issue. Now, a designated non-custodial parent, that may arise in circumstances where the non-custodial parent may be working or living outside of the state, or may otherwise be unavailable due to their employment, or there's just different reasons that can go into this resulting in a non-custodial and custodial co-parenting situation. Now, that does not mean that the non-custodial parent is not a meaningful, very involved person in the children's life. The whole idea is that it's in the best interest of the child to have good and meaningful contact and access to both parents. And the non-custodial parent will still have access to school records, medical records, will still have regular, consistent contact with the child. We'll be splitting the holidays. So it's a very meaningful role, even though it means ultimately that the children will have a primary resident with the other parent. And that will be where they live and go to school and have their home base. So the non-custodial parent will have at a minimum a midweek visit, and then every other weekend from Friday night to Sunday night. Now, there is different outlines of that visitation scheduled for children under 5, but ultimately that's the general schedule that it would look like, every other weekend and splitting holidays. So the custodial parent will have the children the rest of the time. Now, looking over into what's called joint physical custody, what is that? So that is where both parents are showing up, involved in the children's life, and want to have an arrangement where they're both sharing custody. Now, one interesting piece that is misunderstood by many is that joint physical custody on paper doesn't mean that it's necessarily a 50-50 split as far as the calendar days go. So anything more than 100, if both parents have more than 145 overnights each, that is what we call a joint custody arrangement. The shorter end of that stick, meaning one person has more time, turns on an approximate 60-40 split. It's technically a little less than that, but a 60-40 split, which is 145 overnights and the other parent having 220 overnights, that and the general schedule of that looks like that parent will have, the one with the 40% will have a midweek overnight visit, and then every other weekend from Friday all the way to Monday morning. And then the other parent will have the rest of the weeknights and then the alternating weekends. So that is what a 60-40 split can look like. Again, that's joint custody. Then there's the arrangement of 50-50, and that is where the co-parents are splitting the time with the children equally. This means that both parents, first of all, they have to live within 20 miles. You have to live within a reasonable proximity. Otherwise, it's going to be inconvenient for the children to be traveling back and forth. so much with such long travel. In addition, both parents are going to be, full hands on deck. They're going to be helping, participating, and sharing in the rearing of the children together equally. And it can look 50-50 in the sense of 1 week with one parent, 1 week with another parent. Another situation that's worked out really well is 2-2-5 split, meaning 2 days with mom, 2 days with dad, and then alternating weekends. Monday, Tuesday with mom, Thursday, Friday with dad, and then splitting the weekends. So it goes back to what the court looks at when they're deciding what should be the custody arrangement for the children. It's going to be looking at what is in the best interest of the children. And that is the guiding premise for the courts. Now, before I go into what a court's going to look at in terms of what's going to be best for a custodial arrangement, let me say right here that what it's good to remember and what usually ends up being in the best interest of the children is that your custody arrangement can look like anything you want it to if you and your co-parent can get on the same page, set aside your differences, and work together to do what's in the best interest of the children. And that, if you can stay working together, customize your own parent plan and your own schedule, that's going to be so great for you because you're going to feel like you have the say, you're having the control. It does take some give and take, and there's going to be some bending, but again, if you can put aside your differences with the co-parent and work and focus on the children, what's in their best interest, then you and the other party can work out an arrangement that works. Now, if it ends up where you're not on the same page and there's some disagreement around what the custody arrangement should be, then you're going to look at turning to the court for direction or a custody evaluator. And what they're going to do is, again, they're going to come in as a third party and do an assessment on what's in the best interest of the children. And they're going to look at, which parent or have both parents been meaningfully involved in rearing the children? Are they bonded with both parents? And there's just a list of factors that they'll look at, with all of the cumulative idea being that they want to do what's in the best interest of the children. So again, if you can, as you navigate the divorce process, and especially in the mediation process, which we talked about in one of our earlier videos, come together, get on the same page, and figure out what's going to be best for your case. That is going to be ideal. Now, one of the questions that comes up as you deal with this custody question is child support. Is child support going to be required here? Is one spouse going to be paying the other support to help raise the children? So the formula and what is entailed in deciding whether or not child support is paid and who pays it and how much, that's what we're going to talk about next week. So again, your case is unique and has its own nuances. So if you have questions about custody or would like more detailed discussion on the issue, call us and schedule a consultation. You can do that on my website at jrlawgroup.com. Otherwise, follow us on Instagram at jrlawgroup. And next up, again, we'll talk about child support. See you next Family Law Friday.